We just take a look at revenue exclusively from Google Cloud. It came in at $9.19 billion, okay? Analysts on Wall Street were expecting $8.94 billion. So totally blew it out of the water on the cloud computing section. But if you want to talk about profitability, in terms of the cloud computing section, not only did it grow 26% year over year, but operating income came in at $864 million. The same quarter last year, Google's cloud computing division made a negative, or lost money, negative 186 million, excuse me. So from a $186 million loss now to positive 864 million. That's only going to continue to grow with cloud computing, with AI, which we're going to talk about. So overall, I think it was a good quarter. So high level, we'll talk about EPS. Microsoft reported about $2.93 worth of EPS, or earnings per share. Analysts on Wall Street were expecting $2.78, so there was a beat on the bottom line. Now, revenue came in, it was a little bit of a beat, but pretty much in line with expectations. Microsoft posted $62.02 billion in revenue. It's kind of weird to say those numbers. 62.02 billion in revenue just in the quarter. Analysts were expecting 61.12 billion, so revenue was up 17.6% year over year. Now, shifting gears to profitability, Microsoft made a net income for the quarter, not for the year, the quarter, of 21.87 billion for the quarter. Pretty unbelievable stuff here, guys. Now, we have a lot to cover. We'll quickly go over the S&P 500. We'll see where that closed today. Everything was pretty much about flat. The market is a little bit extended. S&P closed the day 4,924. So pretty much down about 2 points. If we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, ticker symbol DJI, or the Dow 30, if my internet would work, I think we also closed flat on the day. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Quick announcement on Thursday. Okay, everybody, on Thursday, we will be sending out our free investing newsletter. The Behind the Street newsletter will be sent out to everybody. We're going to be doing a deep dive into earnings season. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about Alphabet. This is what it looks like. This was our last newsletter. We covered a lot here. We're going to be doing a deep dive into tomorrow's FOMC meeting, which has an amazing potential impact on the market. So if you want to receive all of our equity research for free in your inbox every other Thursday, just go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen, or type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. This is going to be an action-packed newsletter. We're going to be talking about a lot. You are not going to want to miss it. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop. I'll say hello to everybody in the chat, and we will get the stream started on this very rainy, cold, kind of miserable night in New York. So, thanks for joining. Feel free to leave a like on the video. Okay, let's get this show on the road, friends. Hey, I see Matt. What's going on? Patrice 2020 is looking forward to the newsletter. Thank you so much for reading. I do appreciate it. We're at over 4,000 readers, which I appreciate very, very much. In the last 2 months, we've doubled the readership of the Behind the Street newsletter. We went from about 2,000 readers to about 4,000, which is just unbelievable. So I really do appreciate all of you taking the time out of your day to read my work. It does mean a lot, and it really helps with the business too. So thank you all for that. I appreciate all of you, your dedication and support. This is Trump Tower right here. We're standing on the corner of East 56th Street. Tonight we are going to take a little bit of a tour of Sutton Place. We are going to go all the way to the east side of Manhattan. We haven't been there in quite some time. and then we'll head all the way back towards Midtown. But I think since it's kind of rainy, kind of dreary, the city's gonna look cool all the way on the east side, looking over, I should say, Roosevelt Island. And there's a lot of people who haven't seen Sutton Place, so we'll check it out. Hey, Tug Carter, welcome. Welcome to New York City. Steph UF, thanks so much for joining us. RJ from Colorado, welcome, welcome. Davis Brewer says, hey Tom, watching from south of Indianapolis, Indiana. I often follow along with Google's, oh cool, Google Street View, very cool. Yeah, I mean, Manhattan Bridge is amazing. Unfortunately, since it's the winter, very seldom do we get a chance to walk over the Manhattan Bridge, just because not only is it loud, it's windy up there. So should the weather improve once we get into the spring months, we're going to be doing walking tours of the Manhattan Bridge, Brooklyn Bridge, you know, Queensboro Bridge. We're going to hit every single bridge in the city. This is 432 Park Avenue here. You can't even see the top of the building because it is totally encapsulated in the clouds. Standing outside of my office here, 575 Madison Avenue, Douglas Elliman. Michelle Frank says, hey Tom, thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do. I mean, you guys are the ones who show up here every night, so that takes a lot. Kind words, and I'm assuming the weather is much better where you are. I was joking with one of my coworkers today. Not really joking, it was kind of serious, but I don't think we've seen the sun in Manhattan in a little over 8 days. Like, you get outside and you look up and it's just this endless gray kind of overcast. I mean, I guess the plus side, it hasn't really been that cold. It's been in the 40s. It really hasn't been in the low 30s or even the 20s yet this year, knock on wood. So, I mean, what, we had 2 or 3 days of snow and that was it. But February is just beginning, my friends. Now, speaking of February, hold on, let me give you all one more look at 432 Park. This is the Harry Maclau building. Unbelievable. It's kind of crazy standing directly under it and looking up. I know, Ethan G says, gosh, I miss the sunshine in New York City. I do as well. It is coming, fingers crossed. I was looking on my weather application today, and apparently, I don't know how accurate that is, but it's going to be sunny every day next week, so we'll see. Justin S says it's been a week and a half since the sun has been out in upstate New York, clouds not breaking until Saturday. Whew. Yeah, and the thing about upstate New York, it's a hell of a lot colder than it is here in New York. So you guys probably even have snow up there. So now, although, right, and then we'll sort of jump right into our topics. We have a lot to cover. For those of you who just are joining, Microsoft, massive tech company, reported today, as well as Alphabet or Google. And there was a lot of good things. There was some cause for concern, but mostly good things. Now, Alphabet or Google had its fastest revenue growth quarter since early 2022. So you're actually seeing revenue acceleration. Advertising revenue missed the mark a little bit, but still, I mean, huge, massive numbers, not only in just the traditional advertising business, but also on YouTube advertising. So we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. This is 425 Park Avenue. This is one of the newest Class A office towers in Manhattan. Hey, Troy Atman says Walmart stock split 3-for-1. I didn't even hear about that. I was so busy today. Well, thank you for posting that. Good to see you, Troy. Thanks so much for joining us. Dan Sang says, hey Tom, the weather is depressing the hell out of me. Well, next week, Dan, hang in there. Next week, supposedly it's going to be a little bit better. But yeah, you know, I was reading an article that says the vast majority of New Yorkers have vitamin D deficiencies in the winter because we're in the office all day, and then when we come out of the office, it's pitch black. So you can get that seasonal depression. I mean, that's a real thing, my friends. Seasonal depression is a very, very real thing. John A says, hello, Tom and everybody. I'm looking forward to this walk this evening. I am as well. It's good to get the blood pumping, get the exercise. Park Avenue is looking fantastic tonight. We're gazing all the way down to the MetLife building. and Grand Central Station. But we're gonna head all the way to the east side. We're going all the way to the East River, Sutton Place. Gonna get a great view of the river. We're gonna get a great view of the 59th Street Bridge and the new East River sort of elevated park, which I forget the name of. But we'll do that now. This is the temporary headquarters of Citadel Securities. Did anybody see the most recent interview with Ken Griffin? He was talking about how he's suspending all of his donations to his alma mater. I believe he went to Harvard Business School. That's a huge trend now. A lot of those donors, I guess, are suspending a lot of their donations to the alma mater. Now, not to get into the political weeds, but just generally speaking, a lot of these Ivy League institutions, they're pretty much just like glorified hedge funds, private equity firms, and venture capital firms now. I mean, their endowments are so massive, okay? You guys got to do some research into the size of the endowments at these colleges, particularly the Ivy Leagues, right? And which I guess it makes sense, because chances are if you've gone to an Ivy League school, you're going to set yourself up to, do really well in life. And then you give back to your school, and then they invest the endowment funds, and now they're pretty much just like glorified hedge funds, pretty much. So, Ibrahim Azam, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. NAV407 says Google News is the benefactor of all the print media that is folded around the world in the last year. 100% agree with you. Now, the question is, now that we've had what I like to call, in my opinion, a good quarter for advertising for Alphabet, I think we can pull that forward into what's going to happen when Meta, our good friend Mark Zuckerberg, reports earnings. Right? A lot of times you can use earnings reports as a proxy for how other companies are going to report and how other companies are going to do. Now, some people were actually disappointed because the YouTube advertising revenue missed the mark, but it didn't miss the mark by much at all. I mean, it was still absolutely ridiculous. I mean, just to think about how far YouTube has come since the early 2000s, mid 2000s, to what it is now. I mean, that could be in itself. Let's say if Alphabet spun YouTube off, that would be its own multi-billion dollar business, just YouTube itself. It's crazy. So it's a more efficient way to advertise too. We were speaking briefly, I believe there was a McKinsey study that broke down the return on investment, the ROI of different social media platforms in terms of your advertising spend, right? So if I spend $1, how much do I get back? Do I get back 50 cents? Do I get back $2? Do I get back $3? I think you get the point. Now, the most efficient form of advertising, we're gonna have to be wiping the camera lens a lot tonight because we're actually walking through a cloud. But the most bang for your buck is Facebook advertising, so traditional Facebook, right? And Instagram advertising. The worst bang for your buck, according to this study, is at X, so formerly known as Twitter. That is the worst return on investment for advertising dollars of any social media platform is X, which I think that's going to change. I'm making a big bet that that is actually going to change, and it could potentially become the best return on your investment. Before we get a deep dive into the earnings report, I'd actually like to not necessarily give a tip or a suggestion, but maybe point out a little bit of mispricing in the marketplace. So if you are a small business, right, or you own a business, or you're thinking about starting a business right now, when you think about competition, and this is Bloomberg, former mayor Michael Bloomberg, this is, if you ever watched Bloomberg TV or read the paper Bloomberg or use a Bloomberg terminal, it's right here on the corner of East 58th Street. But anyway, in any event, I think right now for a small business, the best return on your investment to gain market share is to actually advertise like crazy on X right now, because it's so cheap. Now, yes, it's true, January and February, right, are the cheapest times to advertise. That's when advertising rates are way down. But at Twitter right now, I mean, you can reach a ton of people, an amazing amount of impressions for almost pretty much no money. So maybe that's a little bit of a mispricing before people catch on. Hey, check the logic. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Mott says Meta seems like it's never been very well received, but just known because of Facebook. Maybe. Alex Y says YouTube needs to allow ad blocker. I think if you use a browser called the Brave browser, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar. Tug Carter says radio advertising has an excellent ROI. Yeah, our friend Tug Carter, it's crazy. He owns, I think, quite a few radio stations. Wild. Yeah, that's insane. I'll give you guys a quick inside look of Bloomberg. We'll just pass the parking garage here. Hey, JH says hello from South Dakota. What's up, JH? Adrian is here. Welcome. Now, with these two earnings reports coming in better than expected, I think this almost... Hold on, I just want to stand back so I can give you guys a good shot. Look at that. I think Bloomberg's headquarters is so unique here. I love the facade of this building. What do you guys think? It's unlike anything in Manhattan. It has its own sort of roundabout rotunda here. It's such a cool building. Hey, MK says, yes, Facebook and Instagram are great for advertising. We invested $200,000 and came back in the sale of only one property. What do you mean? Oh, you invested only 200. Thousands of dollars came back in the sale of. Oh, I got it. I thought you said $200,000. So yeah, I mean, if you earn $200 of advertising, that's a pretty good ROI. That's insane. That's awesome. Yeah, I may start to experiment with running some Facebook ads to the newsletter. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet, but I think it'd be an interesting experiment. We'll see. Yeah, running at altitude, so it looks like a Vegas casino. I'll tell Mayor Michael Bloomberg that if I see him next. It's hilarious. But MK, that's not bad. I mean, think about that as a business model. I mean, if every time you invest $200, you get $1,000 back, I would just be funneling every single thing back in advertising. That's an awesome ROI. But, so we'll quickly go over the numbers high level, right as we're walking up towards Bloomingdale's here. All the way down here, this building is the Lipstick Building, and that is where Bernie Madoff ran his very famous Ponzi scheme, all the way down there, which is kind of incredible how he pulled that off. And since then, there's been no shortage of Ponzi style schemes, like the Sam Bankman-Fried FTX, which we all know how that ended. But we'll first start by talking about Microsoft, because then we're going to parlay a little bit into AI. So Microsoft reported earnings per share, or EPS, of $2.93. Analysts on Wall Street were expecting $2.78. So we beat on the bottom line. So on profitability, we beat. On revenue, Microsoft had $62.02 billion in revenue this quarter alone. That compares to the $61.12 billion that was expected by analysts on the street, if we talk about year-over-year numbers, that's a 17.6% year-over-year increase. Now, to put that in context, right, some businesses, right, that are doing $100,000 in revenue a year struggle to get 17.6% year-over-year growth. Okay, some businesses that are doing $1 million a year would say, hey, if I got, 17% year-over-year revenue growth, that's, knocking it out of the park, right? But we have a company that's doing $62 billion a quarter, that's growing at 17% a year revenue. I can't even wrap my head around those numbers. It's just like, it's like cartoon numbers. It's ridiculous. So with that being said, in my view, the most important sector or segment of Microsoft's earnings report is how well the cloud computing division is doing. So for Microsoft, as we head over to Sutton Place, Microsoft has their Azure cloud product that competes with the likes of Amazon AWS as well as Google Cloud. And they absolutely blew the doors off of their cloud computing division. It's actually labeled Intelligent Cloud. They reported $25.88 billion in cloud revenue. That is up 20% year over year and beating analyst expectations. So not only did they grow the cloud computing section of the business, it was up 20% year over year, and they beat all of the expectations of Wall Street analysts. Now, the CEO of Microsoft came on the call and said about 6 points of that cloud revenue growth, I'll say that again, 6 points of that cloud revenue growth came in the form of strictly AI user base. So people using Microsoft Azure for artificial intelligence and the like. And Microsoft now has 53,000 Azure AI customers, with about a third of those AI customers coming in the last year alone. So this begs the question, and this is kind of a question that we were talking about and pondering. Is AI a fad? Are people actually going to invest in AI and use it? Well, according to Microsoft's earnings report, yeah. The answer is yes. I don't know. What do you guys think? I gotta wipe the camera lens again. Hey, sunshine after rain. Welcome to a very rainy New York City. Ivan Hernandez, Lori Crockett Owens, welcome. If you guys are enjoying the live streams so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams every day starting at 8:30. And this is the Edcott Queensboro Bridge. This is Tramway Plaza. Not a whole lot of traffic on the Queensboro Bridge. Let's check it out. Evan Weeks. This is Tom, something not talked about a lot. People who actually work on AI and machine learning models and tune them properly tend to have to also be some very well-educated people. You're talking master's degrees and PhD levels of education. Totally agree. Absolutely agree. And these are lucrative career options too, right? Very lucrative career options. Hey, Optimus 17 says this stream has made me a fan of Sutton Place. Very happy to hear that. I like Sutton Place a lot. Very quiet, very beautiful. We're gonna head there right now, guys. like an icy rain mist. Here's some of the fruit guys. SoCal Lawrence, what's up? It's a good time to get a coffee. For sure it does. It is a good time to get a coffee. Hey Michael, this is Patrick Boyle, a YouTube finance channel, presented a video biography on Jesse Livermore that ran for over 50 minutes. Yeah, I really like his stuff. I think he's a professor of finance as well. I think he was an analyst and he was a professor at some very esteemed university. Great guy, very smart guy. And I'll have to check that out, by the way. If you want to drop the link in the chat, you know, Jesse Livermore is one of the greatest stock market operators of all time. I would love to check that out and watch that. Whoa, look at this view. So this is a view of 432 Park Avenue from the east side of Manhattan, all the way on the east side. CW, what's up? Good to see you. Welcome to New York City. Hopefully you have your umbrella. Hey, Steve Buffalo says, hey Tom, look what's happening with AI in healthcare. For example, at 30-minute MRI is now 15-minute with the new AI computing. Yeah, I think AI, you know, big data, machine learning is going to revolutionize and transform healthcare. Steve, great point. We were also discussing yesterday, and we had a pretty big discussion on the new Neuralink chip. So apparently Elon Musk's company Neuralink has successfully installed a chip in somebody's head, and the patient is recovering and is going to make a full recovery, which is great news. I mean, think about that. You'll be able to just think about things, and you're essentially going to be a supercomputer automatically overnight. It's insane. Let me turn around here and I'll show you guys a really cool view. 432 is almost completely covered in the clouds now. Hey, Evan Weeks, hey Tom, going to bed, been a long day. I'll leave with this. The AI machine learning marketplace, it's too early to pick the winners, and it's probable that a new Google may be born in the chaos that's growing now. That's a really good point and a very good comment. Evan, have a fantastic night. Hopefully you get some rest. And thank you for your insights. We definitely appreciate it. Hey, I see Hang with Mark Mom. What's up? Good to see you. Good evening, Tom. Mods in chat. Rainy New York City. I see Florida is chilly, so bring your winter jacket. I may be flying out tomorrow and coming back in 24 hours, so we'll see. Someone says, hey Tom, I have no other option but to come back to the city. I only have $3,000. I'm finishing college remotely and earning a certification to have more job options. Any advice would be appreciated. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think there's a lot you could do at 3,000. I think you should focus on networking. I would utilize LinkedIn a lot. So whatever job opportunities that you're interested in, I would try to connect on LinkedIn with people in New York City or surrounding areas like the tri-state that have your jobs or maybe a little bit of a higher position than what you're looking at. And I would try to network with them and, you know, go to coffee chats, do anything you could do to, you know, break down the barriers to get the opportunities that you want. Because the good news is that there's unlimited opportunities here, right? That's the good news. There's no shortage, right? It's not like we're living in an environment of scarcity in New York City. There's unbelievable wealth here, there's unbelievable opportunity, and there's unbelievable resources. And I think if you utilize all in your disposal, I think you're gonna do really well. Andre Almar, what's up? Says, oh, you're gonna be in New York City later this year. Well, hopefully you're gonna come in the summer. I wouldn't advise coming right now. It's kind of dark and gray and kind of nasty, but so we're transitioning to Sutton Place. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Sutton Place, it's known to have very beautiful co-ops. So in Manhattan, you have condos or condominiums, but you also have cooperatives, which are a little different. So in a condo, let's say if you purchase a condominium, you essentially own that outright. But if you buy a co-op, you're purchasing shares in a corporation. I know, it's a little weird. Also, oftentimes, co-ops will have restrictions. So for example, let's say if you're looking at a nice co-op building. I'm not sure if this is a co-op building, but it probably is. Let's say if the apartment that you're looking at is $2 million. And you're like, all right, I want to put 10% down and then get, a jumbo mortgage. Probably not going to happen. Some co-ops have a minimum policy of 50% down. Some have even more, some have less. The financial, I would say, examination that you get when you want to purchase in a co-op is very, very thorough. Now, oftentimes it has been said that cooperatives is really the only thing that saved the New York City residential real estate market during the 2008 financial crisis, because the 2008 financial crisis was caused by subprime mortgages. And a lot of co-ops, they don't allow people that are like kind of just skating by, or that couldn't afford the building to purchase there. Co-op boards can deny you for whatever reason. So a lot of co-ops, right, not in all cases, but a lot, they're very, very well capitalized. So if you're interested in buying a co-op, you really got to make sure you hire an agent that is very well versed in board packages. You have to do multiple rounds of interviews with the co-op board. And then even if you're purchasing the place in cash, the co-op board can still deny you from purchasing in the building. So it's a little weird, it's a little wonky. And on the Upper East Side and in Sutton Place, there's a lot of co-ops over here. But also a lot of nice views. All right, I think we got the light. If you look all the way in the distance, you can see the on-ramp with the 59th Street Bridge. That's going to take you all the way to Queens and over Roosevelt Island. You can see here the Sutton Wine Shop. Pineapple Water says the Dakota Co-op denied Madonna. I actually did not know that. But I'm not surprised. I'm actually not surprised. Hey, RB says good evening, Tom and all. What's up, RB? Thanks for joining us. We're taking a walk through Sutton Place tonight on this very rainy night in New York City, and talking about Microsoft and Alphabet's earnings report that I think came in a lot better than expected, which tells us that the demand for AI is going to be, let's say, self-sustaining, if you will. Now, we can kind of also use that as a proxy to say, okay, what is going to be the demand? Wow, look at this building. So beautiful with all the fire escapes here. Is there going to be staying power in the demand for all these semiconductor companies and the microchip companies and the hardware companies that are producing essentially the hardware, the gears to make AI, machine learning a possibility? So you could say, okay, well, if Microsoft Azure's cloud computing revenue keeps going up, if Google Cloud revenue keeps going up, well, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You can kind of throw that and roll it over to the next sector. So it all intertwines. Let's cross the street here. I want you to pay attention to the facades of a lot of these buildings. you'll notice a very, very stark transition from where we were, right? New York City's Billionaires Row, with all of the glass encapsulated skyscrapers, to more homey residential feel. Notice there's very little street traffic. There's also very little car traffic here, particularly at night. But in the same breath, you're only about a 10 to 15 minute walk away from all the action in Midtown. So it's a really nice place to live. And you also have the 2nd Avenue subway now, which didn't exist before. Hey, MK, this is Tom. What are your thoughts on the Evergrande liquidation, Chinese real estate company? I think China's in a really bad spot. Didn't Chinese GDP numbers come out today, by the way? Could we confirm that? But I think China slowed yet again. And we've been talking about this trend forever, right? I'm not sure if you guys remember. One of my predictions is that in Asia, there is going to be a new powerhouse. So all of the, the fear porn YouTube videos that you watch, that China is going to overthrow the United States as the world's next superpower, the US is going to be under Chinese rule. It's actually probably going to be exactly 180 opposite of that. China's going through some real tough times right now, big time. I think the housing market and just the real estate market in general, commercial, residential, is worse, and it's going to get continuously worse than even in the depths of the financial crisis over there. China is in some very, very big trouble. Very, very big trouble. So I think there's going to be a total sort of 180 in terms of the dominance in Asia. I think you're going to see Japan, Korea, and India sort of take the forefront and drive the economic engine in Asia, with the two leaders, right? If I had to make a prediction, which my predictions, they don't mean anything. Everybody can make predictions. But I think you're going to see Japan and India be the two growth drivers and the powerhouses in Asia. Quite the contrary to what you hear on the news and read in the papers, right, and watch on videos saying, oh, China's going to take over all this stuff. No. Nope. China is slowing and is at a really bad spot. You're seeing reshoring, right? And you would know this if you just listen on all of these corporate earnings calls, right? There's a lot of clues that we can listen to when we, listen into earnings conference calls, particularly in the manufacturing sector. Manufacturers, right, are ripping manufacturing capacity away from mainland China and bringing it back onshore. India is going to benefit from that in a massive way. You're going to see Japan benefit from that in a massive way, and I also think North America in general is going to benefit from the reshoring. And I think that all has to do with what happened in 2020. So now it's not to say doom and gloom in China, but go ahead and look at the Hang Seng index, right? So if you have your Bloomberg terminal up, or a MarketSmith or TradingView, just pull up a chart of the Hang Seng index, then pull up a chart of the Nifty 50, then pull up a chart of the S&P 500, and then lastly pull up a chart of the one and only Japanese equity indice, and you'll see a very, very stark contrast. All right, guys, look at some of the beautiful architecture on these townhomes here in Sutton Place. Could you imagine that? Living here and walking essentially directly into your house? It's just an unreal experience, being able just to walk in your front door and this is your house. This row of townhomes is my absolute favorite in the city. It's stunning, absolutely stunning here. All right, let me catch up on some comments. Ian says artificial intelligence is not useful. It's just going to ruin the world. I don't think so, but I respect the opinion. Do you have any data on that to support that take? Maybe you're right. I don't know. All right, let's make a right here on Sutton Square. And I want to show everybody this beautiful park at the end of the block here. It's really, really stunning. But if you guys enjoy these conversations that we have about the financial markets, the US equity markets, real estate, I do write a free investing newsletter that we send out every other Thursday right as the market closes. So this Thursday, so in 2 days, I'm going to be sending out the next issue of our free investing newsletter called Behind the Street. You don't want to miss it. If you want to sign up, go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen and punch in your email, and you will have access to all of our archived research going back 2 years. If you can't scan the QR code, all you have to do is type !news, NEWS, in the chat. And again, you will have access to our Substack. There's over 2 years of published and archived research on there, all at your disposal for free. And it's a great way to support us here at the channel at no cost to you. And if you enjoy the newsletter, feel free to share it with your friends. We've experienced incredible growth on it. We've doubled the size of the list in just about the last 3 months since we started to back up. So thank you all for your support. But so look at these townhomes here. So this is Sutton Place Park. Could you imagine pulling up to your private driveway here? And your bedroom or your kitchen overlooks all of the East River, Queensboro Bridge. It's unbelievable. What do you guys think? Would you live here? Could you live here? Hey, MK. Says Tom, your point, the Hang Seng index is down 29% in the last year, down 45% in 5 years, a massive drop. Yeah, and now, where's the Indian equity market? You know, do the 5-year look back on the Nifty 50 and do the 5-year look back on the S&P 500 and the Nikkei 225. You know, the Japanese equity indices, guys, hit an all-time record high in 1989. That's way before I was even born, okay? The Japanese equity indice is now approaching a brand new all-time record high. It's not there yet, but I think you're going to see a golden age in Japan, and I think we're going to blow right through those highs, in my view. All right, check out how stunning this is. Imagine just sitting down on this bench and taking in this view every morning. You can see all the way to the Williamsburg Bridge, all of Long Island City. It's stunning. Now, if you look at the river, it doesn't look like it's moving that fast, but the current in the East River is crazy. You can kind of see the water pooling up there. If we turn the camera a little bit further down, everybody, that is the brand new walkway elevated along the East River. Now, in the summer and in the spring, we're gonna have to take a walk here and do a live stream, because that's unbelievable. It goes all the way down. I forget where it goes down to, but the views are magnificent from here. Hey, Abby says, take the tram to Roosevelt Island. That would be awesome to see. I think you're right. We may do that, Abby, once the weather gets a little bit better. It's just been so freezing and too cloudy. All right, let's take you guys back into Midtown. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of new viewers, and a lot of people are not familiar with Sutton Place. And I think particularly if you're a tourist and you're visiting New York City, yeah, you go to Times Square, yeah, you go to Bryant Park, you know, you walk around Midtown Manhattan, and you go to the Statue of Liberty, but things like this, like how many tourists would think, oh, let me go ahead and walk to Sutton Place and sit in Sutton Place Park and look over, you know, the East River all the way to Long Island City and the Queensboro Bridge, right? These are just like little hidden gems in the city. That's really beautiful, and it's not very well trafficked. I mean, it's a ghost town here, and that's good news, right, for the residents. And it'll give you a better perception of what it's actually like to live in New York City, away from all the tourist attractions. I mean, this is big money here too. I mean, people have their private personal driveways going up to their townhomes here. It's an unbelievable neighborhood. Now, all of these were just totally restored. We've actually been streaming here quite a while. This is all technically new construction, right? It's been a complete rip and replace. You have your own personal garage here. Isn't that cool? Now, if anybody is looking to move to New York City, if you're looking to buy something here or sell an apartment here, feel free to reach out to me. I will help you. We are one of the top real estate sales teams in New York City, the Kirsten Jordan team at Douglas Elliman. So we do a lot of volume. We know all the brokers, and we'll get you a good deal, and we will get you the highest price for your property. All right, let's start to head back. We'll take one quick peek again at the bridge, and then we'll head back into Midtown. There's the 59th Street Bridge. Hey, Jonathan from Florida says, hey, Tom and team, watching from beautiful Pompano Beach, Florida. Sutton Place, the beautiful views. Thanks so much. Pretty jealous, though. I wish I was in South Florida. Maybe I'll be there tomorrow. I may have to take a 24-hour trip there. We'll see. Hopefully the Roosevelt Island tram will come by right as we're walking up to the bridge. 35 Sutton Place. It's a pretty nice building. Hey, Alfonso S, what's up? Good to see you. Someone says, are there garages in the luxury apartments in Manhattan? Some of them, yeah. Some of them. You know, I'm on a listing right now. If you guys want to look it up, it's 5 Franklin Place. So 5 Franklin Place apartment 8A is the unit we're selling. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment, just under 2,000 square feet, for $3,495, $3,495,000. We're listing it for, and you have the option to buy a parking space in the building. It's an amazing building because the facade of the building actually opens up. So the front of the building like lifts up. You drive your car onto the elevator platform, and it parks the car for you underground. It's almost like Batman, like you're driving the Batmobile into the side of the building. And those spaces, you could purchase a space for $300,000 from the sponsor. But that's in Tribeca. That's Tribeca pricing, right? Now, if you're looking to purchase a parking space in Manhattan, the cheapest one you can probably get is about $140,000 for a parking space, which, just by the way, actually, one of the deals I was working on, we just went into contract today. A customer of mine signed the contract and wired the deposit for a parking space on East 69th Street, $140,000 all cash deal. Hopefully that closes in 30 days. And yeah, we got one space left. So assuming this closes, this will be the second space we've sold for $140,000, and then we have one left for $140,000, and it's on East 69th Street and 2nd Avenue. So right near the 2nd Avenue subway. Guys, look at this. That's that row of townhomes that I said are my favorite. This is stunning here. This almost looks like you're in New England or like Boston or something. Tortellini says, wow, imagine owning a parking space worth more than the car. Yeah, I mean, look, the majority of people who have been buying, right, to give you a little bit of an insight, I can't say exactly who, but most people that have been interested, right, and are interested in moving forward with the purchase, they're either older New Yorkers nearing retirement age, or they're very, very successful New Yorkers that are kind of fed up with the quality of service that they're getting in the valet garages, right? So in a valet garage, sorry, I'm just obsessed with these townhomes here. This is beautiful. But in a valet garage in New York City, you'll pay anywhere between $650 to like $1,300 a month, depending on the size of the vehicle, to park your car per month, right? And you give the keys to the valet, they park it for you. When you want to go pick it up, you got to call in advance, and it can be very monotonous and tedious for a lot of customers. So essentially, they're just paying for the convenience. They'll say, okay, I'll pay $140,000, and I have my own parking space in a private self-park garage. So if you think about the suburbs, right? You have a garage door opener. You click it, the garage door opens up. You pull your car into the garage, you park it, and then you can go there 24/7, 365. So it's more of a convenience play. People are buying time, people are buying convenience. It's not like a cash flowing investment. That's kind of how people think about it. All right, so we are now leaving Sutton Place, but I want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think, high level? Would you live in Sutton Place? Do you like the neighborhood? What don't you like about it? Do you like the architecture? Because this is one of my favorite neighborhoods in all of the city, and I'm happy to share it with you guys. I think the views are great. Even though it's kind of away from everything, it's still pretty close, because we're walking down 57th Street, and in about 10 minutes, we're going to be right back in the middle of the action. So, would love to hear your thoughts on if you liked it or not. Optimus 17 says, Tom, I would love to see the interiors of some of these Sutton Place homes. I'm working on that. I'm working on getting in there. I love everything about the neighborhood. Sandra says everything in Sutton is awesome. Yeah, it's very quiet. Hey, Peter says, I like it. It's quiet. Oh, no way. I never knew that. Bear Stearns used to live here. Bond, James Bond says you like it. Tortellini says, I get it, limited space, but I just can't justify spending that kind of money. Totally understand. Yeah, I totally agree. So Anne Marie says Sutton Place would be a great place to raise your family because it's very quiet. And it's close to, you have some parks. And if you want to just take a walk over to Central Park, it's only a few avenues. Right, it's within walking distance. I know. Yeah, alley stars. Just look at the Steinway building in the distance. So that's another thing, guys. So even though we seem so far away from all the action in the city, if you look in the distance, that's Steinway Tower. That's one of the skinniest residential apartment buildings in the entire world, right here on New York City's Billionaires Row. And it's in walking distance. Deborah's is great, classic, old school, quiet neighborhood. Those buildings are solid, sturdy, and classic. Very good description. I agree wholeheartedly. Now, maybe on Friday, we'll do a walking tour of another one of my favorite neighborhoods, which is the West Village. Wow, some of the townhomes in the West Village, I mean, that's really, really cool to look at. Just the guys, as I like to be high in the sky with the view. Well, then I think more Midtown is for you, right? If you like views, if you kind of like to be high up, I don't think Sutton Place is a good neighborhood for that. I would say 57th Street, even in the 40s. The newer condominiums, you're going to get that. You're not really going to get that with a lot of the older cooperatives. Hey, JC, what's up? This is, wow, January flew by. It did fly by. Now, speaking of the end of January, JC, today was the official start of the FOMC meeting. So the Federal Open Market Committee meeting is going to conclude tomorrow, the last day of January, which means we're going to be hearing from our good friend, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. What do you guys think as we approach 2nd Avenue and East 57th Street? It's a pretty cool building. I like the lobby. You think the Fed is going to come off rather hawkish, dovish, in between? What do you think? Now, if you look at futures, okay, if you use the CME Group watch tool, which we've covered in the Behind the Street newsletter that we write, it's pretty much 100% certainty the Fed is not going to cut rates tomorrow. They're going to hold interest rates steady. So to recap and just to do a little bit of review, the Fed funds rate is in a target range right now of 5.25% to 5.5%. And I think that's where it's going to remain, at least for this first FOMC meeting. Hang with Mark Mom says no interest rate change again. Yeah, I think they'll come out. I think the narrative is going to be they're going to come out, no interest rate hike, but Jerome Powell is going to say something like, we still remain committed to getting inflation back down to the 2% target. We're going to use all the tools at our disposal to meet that mandate. And one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to continue to shrink the size of our balance sheet. Look at the fire truck here. Oh, Matthew M says, today is my 42nd birthday. I appreciate your hard work. Matthew M, happy birthday, my friend. That's awesome. Hopefully you're somewhere warm and not working. But happy birthday to you. Thanks so much for spending at least part of it with us, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, in conclusion, the Fed really has two main tools. They can manipulate interest rates, or they can expand the size of their balance sheet or decrease the size of their balance sheet. The good news is we can watch this in real time. If you go to the St. Louis Federal Reserve website, just type in St. Louis Fed on Google and then type in balance sheet. You can see the entire balance sheet in real time. I'm also going to send this to you guys in Thursday's newsletter. We're going to do a little bit of an update on where the balance sheet is. Is it headed in the right direction? And when I mean right direction, I mean shrinking. So if you want to receive that, we're going to send it out on Thursday. So this Thursday, we are going to have our second issue of the Behind the Street newsletter for 2024. We're going to do a deep dive into tech earnings, and we're going to talk a little bit about the FOMC meeting, which I think ends Thursday, by the way. I think tomorrow is January 30th, is it? I don't even know what day it is, but regardless, if you want to sign up to receive all of our free research, just scan the QR code on your screen or type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. Oh, today is January 30th. Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Hang with Mark, Mom. Man, where did January go? Well, the good news is that, the winter is chugging along. The faster we get through January, the faster we can get through February, and then we are in the spring. So, close to the first rate cut by the US Fed will come by May or June, perhaps. Oh, guys, I think it's snowing out. I think it's just on the border of freezing. I don't know if you look in the light, you can see a little bit of mix of rain and snow a little bit. At least I think. That's what it looks like with my eye. I'm not even sure how cold it is out. But it does look like a little bit of mix of rain and snow. Yeah, it is snowing. Cool. Neil says, as a Canadian, I always like to see the TD banks in Manhattan. Well, TD actually has a very big presence at One Vanderbilt. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, because a lot of the Class A office style buildings in Manhattan are actually doing really well. There's actually bidding wars for some of the office space at the higher end, right? The Class A office towers. It's really the older style office buildings that are vacant. Essentially, you're having a flight to quality. So in One Vanderbilt, I believe that's where TD Securities is. That's the New York City headquarters. SoCal Lawrence is Tom, UPS to cut 12,000 jobs. I saw that. Now, many people are viewing that as a little bit bearish for the economy or bearish for the market. But oftentimes, and I know it sounds a little weird, right? And this isn't my personal view. Okay, I'm not saying that I want this. But oftentimes when companies announce layoffs, the stock will actually rally quite substantially. And we talked about this. I think a perfect example of this is Meta, right? Or Facebook, whatever you want to call it, Mark Zuckerberg's company. In 2021, Facebook reached an all-time record high. And then we kind of had this massive quantitative tightening event happening on the street where interest rates went up and it crushed the valuations of tech stocks. And the board was very, very aggravated at Mark Zuckerberg because Facebook was making all this money, but they suffered from corporate bloat, and there was a lot of just ridiculous overhead expenses for really no reason at all. So 2023 was nicknamed by the CEO of Meta as the year of efficiency. I'll say that again, the year of efficiency. And essentially what Mark Zuckerberg did is he fired over 25% of the entire company. I think just about 30,000 jobs cut at Meta. And the stock rallied. And just yesterday, Meta hit a new all-time record high after being down 77%. So, a lot of times when the Federal Reserve has very, very lackadaisical and accommodative monetary policy, it allows companies to grow so fast, too quickly, and it creates a lot of duplicity within the organization, or, to use corporate speak, it's called corporate bloat, right? Corporate bloat. So there's a lot of doubling up of positions, and then when the economy slows down, you don't need 80,000 employees. So the companies start to get lean, they start to get mean, they start to get really profitable, and the companies rally, or I should say the stocks rally, and they do really well. WBC says banks can't get any money in March, thus all these layoffs. But it's horrible to see anybody get laid off. It's absolutely terrible. Now, in other, and I want to know what you guys think about this theory, right? Because we're all guessing. Does anybody remember the breaking news how, UPS drivers' total compensation, or OTE, on target earnings, was raised to about $185,000? Total compensation, meaning with your health care, meaning with, all of your benefits and the like. Anybody remember that? Well, if you don't, UPS significantly raised the total compensation for a lot of the drivers, and including your medical benefits, all the healthcare, the 401k, stock, all that stuff. Drivers can make at maximum 180 something thousand. It's interesting now that they're starting to lay, about 12,000 people off. Maybe they said, okay, we'll raise some of the salaries to appease everybody, but then we'll cut the equivalent amount of people to balance out what we would pay out in compensation before the raise. Does that make sense? Now, I don't know if they did that, right? I'm not alleging that they did that, but it is a little bit, it is a little bit interesting. Yeah, Hang with Mark Mom says, I wish more companies would focus on layoffs in managerial positions. It would literally cut down on toxic workplace. Too many bullies. Interesting. Well, a lot of middle managers do tend to get laid off in those specific scenarios. I think you're right. I think you're right. Matthew M. is part of Teamsters Union in UPS. I'm a Teamster. Interesting. Now, everybody, this building right here, this is an interesting building. This is the closed down Four Seasons Hotel on 57th Street. So right here on Billionaires Row, this building has been totally vacant since the 2020 pandemic. This used to be one of the most luxurious hotels in Manhattan, the Four Seasons Hotel. And there was a dispute between the owner and I think the city. And the good news is I think this is opening back up. The Four Seasons on Billionaires Row is opening back up this year. It's kind of weird that we constantly walk past it and it's totally blown out and vacant. So Peter says, hey Tom, I have a friend who flies their Boeing 767 cargo planes. He is a captain and rakes in the money. You know, I used to go to high school with a kid whose dad was a pilot for the UPS. And pilots make a very, very good living. I think he was a pilot for FedEx. Now, if anybody's looking for a very lucrative career opportunity, there is a shortage of pilots in the United States. So, a little bit of a PSA. We do have a pilot shortage. And that is very, very good money, very good income. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We usually do these live streams every day starting at 8:30, and we'd love to have you join us. This is my office right here. I sit right here in this window on the other side, right here. Now, speaking of Boeing, what the hell is going on with Boeing? I mean, excuse my language, but it seems like every time I turn on the TV, there's an issue with Boeing. You know, the doors are ripping off, the plane is crash landing. Like, they got to get it together with that. Because every time I fly American Airlines, it's a Boeing 737, I think. Something like that. And I get a little freaked out, I'm not gonna lie. Just got to plug in my phone for a second. All right. But anyway, and I'm serious about it because it's like every time I get on the plane, oh, I think we're buffering here. I think there's a little bit of a dead zone over there. I think we should be back online now, right? Let's see. Ah, we're back. Yeah, there's always like
you live right now?
Yeah,
Dude,
good to see you.
One second.
Oh no, I'm busy.
No, 1 second, dude, we're gonna want to see this.
No.
No, hold on.
Yep. I think we're back online, right? So we're gonna go down to St. Thomas Church, and then we'll bang a right, and then we'll head back up. So I gotta go to Columbus Circle tonight. I gotta do something. Hey Nina, what's up? Good to see you. Coming up on East 55th Street. and 5th. This is the Peninsula Hotel. Stunning property. And this is the St. Regis. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with a lot of these airlines. Some of them are in jeopardy of actually going under. Now this building is really cool. East 54th Street and 5th. This is the University Club. Look at this. Now the inside of this building is just phenomenal. It reminds you a little bit of the Morgan Library inside the University Club. Hey Nina, this is Tom enjoying the stream as always. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, as you know, we were talking about number 1, Microsoft, and number 2, Alphabet tonight. Both those companies reported corporate earnings. Does anybody want to take a guess? I think this will be fun to kind of guess. Does anybody want to take a guess at the advertising revenue produced by just the YouTube advertising section of Alphabet or Google? Not profitability, but revenue. So in the last quarter, how much revenue did Google take in from just YouTube advertising alone? I think you guys are going to be kind of surprised to hear. We'll see if anybody gets it right. Many of you have probably already looked up the earnings, but it's kind of insane to think about these numbers. No, JC, it's kind of like, it's like a private club. I think the annual fee is like maybe $30,000 to be a part of the club. You have events, there's networking, lots of interesting things. Alfonso says says 5 billion. WBC says 10 billion. Actually, not bad guesses. Jeff W277 says not enough. Stock tanked. John says 10 billion. Chris says 30 billion. Maybe one day 30 billion. We'll see. Let me just wipe the camera lens. And then we'll cross a little bit into Midtown because it's getting windy. So YouTube ads alone brought in $9.2 billion in just a quarter. That's insane, guys. I mean, if you think about some businesses, right? Some businesses struggle to bring in $9 billion in revenue alone. Just the YouTube advertising arm of Google brought in $9.2 billion. Now, some of those who were guessing like $30 billion, I think in my lifetime, I think Google advertising may get to 30 billion within my lifetime, a per quarter. You know, if we're at 9 now, you know, assuming YouTube is still around, I think YouTube will still be around by the time I'm 60, but it'll look very, very different. It'll probably all be, you know, in the metaverse. Now, speaking of the metaverse, did anybody hear the breaking news today? I think Apple released their Vision Pro goggles. What do you think? Did anybody see the, I should say, the demo on CNBC today of the Apple Vision Pro goggles? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I will say this. If you take a look at Apple's website, so if you go to the website, this is a cool shot. You can see the spire of Steinway Tower here. But the interesting thing is, if you go to Apple's website and you watch the sort of commercial for the Vision Pro, it's unbelievable. That has been my one gripe with Meta, right? Meta has their Quest headset, so it's sort of their product for the metaverse. I don't even know what the thing does because the marketing is so piss poor, right? But Apple, it doesn't matter if you like Apple products or not. I mean, whoever does the marketing and advertising for Apple is insane. It's so good. You guys have to, carve out 3-4 minutes of your day and watch that sort of commercial for the Vision Pro 2 or Vision Pro, whatever it's called. It's insane. I just don't know if it's actually going to catch wind and take off. And they're quite expensive, so. JC says, I saw a few unboxing videos. I'll wait for the 4th or 5th version of it to buy it. Oh, for sure. I think with these sort of first generation tech, I think it's really only meant for the hardcore, die-hard fans who are going to use it, who are going to provide feedback, maybe even provide some engineering expertise. And then the 4th and 5th edition of the product, that's when it's really marketed for mass market. I don't think anybody's going to pay $3,500, or the general public is not going to pay $3,400 for a set of goggles. I don't know. Is anybody here in the chat going to buy those Apple goggles? They look cool. I'll probably try it or like demo it or something at the Apple store. Maybe we'll do that on the stream one night. But this is 53 West 53rd. This is one of the buildings on New York City's Billionaires Row. Even though it's technically not on 57th Street, this is still considered one of the Billionaires Row-esque buildings. This is an awesome, awesome building. I know Pineapple Water's 200,000 already pre-ordered, which I think was about 50,000 more than what many experts were expecting. ETC 333s is definitely considering it. I mean, if it is good as what the advertisement says, then it's very intriguing. I don't think I'll buy it, but could you imagine watching like a live stream in the Vision Pro? That might literally look like you're walking the streets in New York City right with us. Like, how wild would that be? So imagine this picture right now with this huge bus coming at us, but this is on your Vision Pro in the goggles. That pretty much looks like you're in New York City. Wild. Okay, let's cross because we have the light. This is 6th Avenue. You can see all the way down to Radio City Music Hall. This is the flagship Hilton Hotel here. ERBs is in my family. We have 4 iPhones, 3 iPads, 1 iMac, and 1 Mac Mini, and 1 iPod. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if I tally up all the money I've spent on Apple in my entire life, I mean, a lot. Extreme amounts. wind is picking up now. This is the Alliance Bernstein building. Oh, ER, and you have one Apple TV. A good piece of advice I got is that you should make a mental note or a mental audit of everything that you own, that you use, and that you buy regularly. And if it's publicly traded, you should at least try to have some of it, right? Because it kind of reimburses you over time. Generally speaking, right? In most things. Chances are, let's say if you had an iPhone since 2016, but then you also had some Apple stock, and you're like, all right, if I'm going to spend, $1,100 on the iPhone, I'm going to go ahead and buy some Apple stock too. I mean, from 2015 to 2024, I mean, that definitely, it pays for the technology, in essence. It was always a good piece of advice I got when I was younger. Or you could just, own the index, if you will. If you think about the S&P 500, it's so concentrated now because all these tech companies are so massive. I believe 30% of the entire market capitalization of the S&P 500 is quite literally crowded into the top 10 stocks. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just these companies are just getting so powerful, more powerful and more powerful each and every single quarter. I'll take you guys down into the subway. Wow, Peter. Says I owned Costco since 1994. Oh my God, you must have made a fortune on that. God bless. All right, welcome to the underworld. No, there's no robot here. It's in 42nd Street. I tried to see that the other night. JC says Windows 12 reviews are interesting. AI is here to stay. I agree. I think one of the biggest clues that we can garner that if AI is here to stay or not is from today's Microsoft earnings report and Google's earnings report, right? The cloud computing revenue is very, very strong. And the CEO of Microsoft came on the earnings call and said 6 points of revenue from overall cloud revenue came directly from AI applications for use case on Azure, which is insane. Hey, Ace Options Tradings. Hey, Tom, good afternoon. What's up? Talking about AI. Google, Microsoft beat earnings expectations. I was actually quite pleased with advertising revenue for Google, Alphabet. And I think Meta is going to be strong too. Now, Alphabet had the fastest revenue growth that it's had since early 2022. All right, we've now officially teleported all the way, probably like 4 city blocks, which isn't bad. So now here's a view of 432 Park Avenue from the west side of Manhattan. all the way to the east side now, all the way to the west side. Wait, 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 wait. Okay guys, this is 111 West 57th Street. This is the Steinway Tower. This is the skinniest residential apartment building anywhere in the entire world. Look at this. Now, I used to not like this building, but this building has really, really grown on me. It's an amazing, amazing residence. And you can't even see the top of it because it's in the clouds. (111 West 57th Street). Troy Athens is how much for a 1-bed, 1-bath? I don't know, but if I had to guess, maybe around 2.7, something like that. Now this building here, this big glass one with the crane in front of it, it's 157. So there's only one sponsor unit left in the building at 157. So for those of you who don't know, a sponsor unit is essentially a unit in the building that's still owned by the developer, right? So if you're purchasing a new development, which means the building just went up and the developer is launching sales, it's called you're buying a sponsor unit. And with that, should you make an offer and if you get your offer accepted, then you go through a punch list. And the punch list is really just to ensure that you get the property in brand new condition. Because if you're buying new development, you want everything to be brand new. So in new dev, you walk through the whole property. If there's any scratches on the floors, if really anything, the developer or the sponsor will replace that brand new before you move in. And in this building, 157, you only have one sponsor unit left, which is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Or I would say 1 bedroom, 1.5 bathroom. But this was developed by Extel. 157, and then you have Central Park Tower, which, by the way, one of the record-breaking deals for the year was just done at Central Park Tower. The duplex was sold for $149.5 million. Insane deal. Carnegie Hall. Elliott Wave review. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the Russian tea room is very, very famous, and I think it gets a lot of business and a lot of traffic. It's a nice grab. This lady got that taxi. It seems like all the taxis know exactly when the shows are getting out at Carnegie Hall. There's like a wave of taxis.
This is ours. We got it. No, this is ours.
Whoa. Big fight for the taxis here.
Good night.
Hey, Carol H., what's up? Carol, I may be in Miami tomorrow night. We'll see. I'll only be there for 24 hours, but I may be there nonetheless. Hopefully you're well. We did a deep dive on Microsoft and Alphabet's earnings tonight, both beating expectations. Ace options trading. If you send me an email, I'll help you out for sure. If you want to get an apartment in Midtown, I will help you 100%. Just send me an email, thomas.malloy@element.com. We have a few couple interesting projects that we've recently launched in Midtown and that we currently have, like Bloom 45. It's a cool project. Fly or take the train? No way. I could never take the train to Miami from New York. That would take like 2 days. No, I just fly. Carol H is nice. Enjoy Miami tomorrow. Who's playing at Carnegie Hall? I'm not too sure. We actually probably should have looked at that since we were walking right past it. But I always love seeing all the people come out of Carnegie Hall though. It's such a lively experience. That's one of the things I love about New York City. It could be a miserable night, but there's always something going on. I mean, it's a Tuesday in Manhattan, and there's shows going on. It's awesome. There's a UPS truck. They just announced that they're laying off 12,000 people. Brittany says go to Key West, not Miami. I have a property. I own a property down there. Key West is a little bit too far for me. All right, now everybody, this was the deal of the year. So the Eklund Gomes team at Douglas Elliman, who's a team we work with a lot, by the way. Frederick is an amazing guy. They just sold. They represented the buyer for the duplex that sits atop of Central Park Tower. It went under contract, sold, and closed for $149,500,000. It was the largest deal of the year. Insane. And, you know, I went to a Central Park Tower event. You know, Excel was hosting an event at Central Park Tower, and they want to obviously really, really push and drive sales at Central Park Tower. And from my experience, from my knowledge, they were offering 5% commission for anybody who brought buyers to Central Park Tower. So I don't know what the commission structure was for the $149.5 million deal, but if the buyer's agent got 5% on $149.5 million, I mean, absolutely, God bless. That's an amazing, amazing deal. Now, I don't know if that's what the rate was. I don't know. But I just know that's what Central Park Tower is offering. You bring buyers. I mean, talk about thunder money. an incredible deal, right? It's funny because everybody was talking about how, you know, during the pandemic, New York City is never going to come back. It's never going to recover. It's going to be, you know, a ghost town forever. Then fast forward 4 years, you know, the city's knocking down $149 billion deals for one apartment. So, you know, never count New York City out. It's really the only thing I could say. But everybody, the stream is getting a little bit long in the tooth. I think we covered a lot. I want to get out of the rain. So if you enjoyed the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We will be sending out our free financial newsletter this Thursday, okay? So if you like all of the financial news that we talk about on the stream, from the US equity markets, fixed income, real estate, we send out our free equity research piece every other Thursday after the market closes. All you have to do is scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, and you will be signed up to receive our Substack. Or you could type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. So everybody, take care, take it easy, stay dry and warm, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow night, probably from downtown Miami. Who knows? So D, I appreciate it. Carol H, thanks so much. Hawaii, all of our moderators, Austin City Limits, Cynthia Ava, Natasha P, appreciate you. Abdullah, Joseph Hardaway, there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Guys, take care.